live stream. All righty. We're ready. Now I need to go get myself ready. Show you. So you got this all set up right here. So when you hit that, it should be that.
Okay.
When it's done, go to the next one. It's just audio.
Okay.
This is audio.
Okay.
Then whenever it says slideshow, it's going to. So once you hit this, it'll start. Oh my God. When that's done, you have to advance it to just this slide, which comes right after.
In between.
Yeah.
Got them. And then that. Then
So this is what they look like.
Okay.
So you can even do it, I think.
Basic. These are set real basic.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah. If we brought the gain up and brought this down, that's better. So I want to see.
Oh, yeah, that's less. No, that's more. How's that?
That's fine. So just follow this.
Got it. Yeah, leave it on that.
Yeah, and then as soon as you do this, it'll go back to that one screen. But then if you hit this, then you can see it. Now, if I get off of this and go here, it doesn't shut off. It goes until it's done. Because I said play between slides. Which I don't need it to do.
You get down the sound.
So, that's true. Or I could just do this playback and play my slides.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a green tag, there's an orange tag. Right. Right. Well, we did two different ones. We did.
No, we don't. I just said either one of those.
Next board decision, table or chair? Oh. That's my wife. Gotta watch out for her.
Oh, wait. Oh, well, that's okay. I was continuing to church. I'll send you the table if I have a choice. Which one do we want? You want to be on that side? When that person's not facing. Now they can all face.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to see you, guys.
Can you tell us my grandson? This is my sister.
I wanted to stop you guys and see you guys before I sold to gas and see what I had a direction of where to live. The day I was going to do it, the political stores was so large, you drive around the truck and
Things happen. Right behind
Yeah.
I bumped it, I guess. It's going again. So does it take it to
Oh, it's
all right.
no. I took it to where it doesn't do that. Oh, well, it's still.
How long is it?
Put the headphones on and PFL it. Huh?
Like story or
Okay. Well, then that's music's off. Yeah, so I did it.
so what is that?
It's picking up. Oh, hold on. This. Yeah, it was picking that up. So that's what people can hear when they tune in. Like if I tune in, I hear the noise. So let's do this.
What camera is that?
No, that's this.
which is doing what?
This it's everything you hear on that is coming in from here. They go-
Oh, okay.
So this is the microphone up at the podium,
Okay. Okay.
and these two are left and right.
Okay.
Come up. And Gary's. Oh, he got out of the picture.
Yeah, I do not.
So yeah, that's what's going on here.
Instead of these.
Wow, that's how we start. With AI.
Do I have to unmute it there?
No, no.
That's just what's coming back.
That's just what people are watching.
But I mean, what you shut down for sound, muted.
It's just I muted it from this feed,
Yeah.
not this. This is not coming now through.
Okay.
But if I brought it up here, it would be.
Gotcha. So I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's see right here. And that way, it's only going to be single.
That's you.
So again, sync is going to be the only one up on the stage on the amber mic. On the amber mic. Those
Oh,
other
these are the
two
other two. Like,
are the ones down there. That's- Good. Batteries are good in those. Check those. Check the wires. Wireless. That was 78 years ago. Trying to figure out the building. All right.
And so Susie, your sign maker, blue sign maker, in front of the guy in the blue shirt.
In front of him. Yeah, the one guy that's just standing there. It's funny to see how far I'll just give you a clue. Well, just think about
You're going to be on that.
As we begin today, I invite you to take your seats. Thank you on behalf of Cindy and family. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank the people of Calvary Christian Church and all of the other people connected to this church who have made sure that this place got set up, that we have the desserts and the tables and all. Remember, afterwards, you are free to stick around. We're going to have a meal. Make sure you do that. And we may need some help. I'm just bringing it, setting up some more round tables and then just taking the chairs that are present in and putting them around as well. Just in case. Anyways, as we begin, I want you to listen to this song.
Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the works works thy hands have made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. When through the woods and forest glades I wander and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountain grandeur, see the brook and feel the gentle breeze. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and lead me home, with joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow with humble adoration and then proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. How great thou art, 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 how great thou art.
How great he is. We are gathered here today to honor the life of Craig Alacano, beloved husband and father, grandfather, son, brother, uncle, outstanding community member, friend, a saint of God, but most important of all, a mask. As you look in the folder that you might have received today, you will notice something a bit off. First of all, I am not Pastor Stephen Koski from First Presbyterian Church of Bend. My name is Pastor Trey Hinkle. I'm the lead pastor here at Powell Butte Christian Church. Unfortunately, Pastor Stephen, of whom I could speak very highly, was scheduled to eulogize Craig today. For the past several years, Craig had tuned in to watch the service on TV there at First Presbyterian. And he watched it, dare I say, religiously. Craig enjoyed listening to Pastor Stephen's message. He came to consider Pastor Stephen his pastor, although Craig had never stepped foot inside First Presbyterian Church and had never met Stephen. Now, when Craig had to go into hospice care, he had Cindy reach out to Pastor Stephen to explain his health situation. And in an amazing act of care and concern, Pastor Stephen Koski, again, who had never met Craig, drove out to the Alacano home here in Powell Butte. He anointed Craig with oil and prayed over him. And I just wanted to thank Pastor Stephen for doing that. Pastor Stephen, as I said, was eagerly been looking forward to eulogizing Craig today. However, just 2 days ago, he tested positive for COVID and determined that he would have to regrettably bow out of his portion of this service. Now, I wanted to mention that for two reasons. Number one, what an upstanding man and an outstanding pastor Pastor Stephen Koski is, to be willing to go to those lengths to provide pastoral care for somebody who he had never even met. That's humbling. I'm grateful for pastors like him because they are truly the hands and feet of Jesus. And number two, though, I want us to approach today with a great joy amidst great sorrow because our loss is not Craig's loss. We will miss the physical presence of Craig now that he has passed, but we don't mourn for Craig because of his faith, a faith that was strengthened through the ministry of Pastor Stephen. Even through his health struggles, Craig held on to the promise of eternal life with no struggles, eternally with the Lord. So we do mourn today for ourselves. We cry for ourselves, but we do not weep for Craig, because the Bible promises that for those of us who have put our faith in Jesus, we have been reconnected with our God, our Creator and Sustainer. And so death is not the end. For those who are in Christ Jesus, we are promised a glorious reunion with Craig and with our other loved ones who also lived their life by faith. And so for that promise, we thank God, the one that we heard, how great thou art. So I want to today, as we begin, welcome our Heavenly Father into our presence this morning as we gather to celebrate a life that was well lived, as we gather to say goodbye to the physical presence of a loved one, and then to gain hope and strength for the next part of our own life journey. So would you please bow with me in prayer. God, thank you so much for giving us the gift of Craig Alacano 63 plus years ago. God, it seems so unfair for him to be taken so early, and yet, Lord, we want to not take it for granted that we were able to have him in our life for the time that you gave to us. For some of us here, for our whole lives. Thank you so much that you imbued him with the gifts that you did, with the personality that you did, the determination that he showed, the love that he had. God, I pray that we would see that example and that we would take a page out of that book, that we would be people who, like Craig, knew how to live well. God, as we gather here today, our hearts are sad. There's a part of our lives that is now empty because Craig is no longer here. So, God, I would pray that you would help fill that void. God, you are a big God that can come in and close the gaps that we now feel. And Lord, I pray that we'd be able to lean into you and lean into the relationships that you've brought to us, that they may walk with us through our grief journeys. But God, right now we invite you here. As we honor Craig, Lord, we also want to honor you, the one who created Craig. So it is in your precious Son, Jesus' name, that we pray these things. Amen. You know, as we focus in on Craig's life, and we've invited the Lord into our midst, we lift up the importance of praise. It was the Old Testament character of Job who, after great loss, actually chose to worship God with these words: "The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." There's a powerful commitment there. For Job, when faced with times of sorrow, he knew it was important to worship as much as he could as he would have when he was enjoying times of blessing. As I spent time this last couple of weeks looking at pictures and hearing stories from Cindy, I can tell that Craig's life was marked by a determination to leave a mark on his world. You see it in the way that he loved his family. You see it in his dedication to his business ventures. His meticulous care betrayed an eye for detail and a heart for getting things right. I think this must be what Moses meant when he wrote a psalm that asks God to help him number his days. Now, I don't believe that Moses was merely concerned with the amount of days in his life as he was concerned with the amount of life in his days. As I mentioned in my prayer, Craig was far too young, in our estimation, to be taken away. Much too young, we believe, to leave this life. And yet, there at the end, even then, he wanted to do it right. And he told Cindy and those around him, "It's okay. I'm going to be fine. It's okay." Though his days were cut short, it seemed to me that Craig was a man who squeezed every last drop of life from those days that he could. A little later on in this service, after some very special videos and songs shared with us, sharing the colorful life that Craig lived, we're going to give you a time to come up to one of these two microphones down here on the floor to help us remember and celebrate the life that you witnessed in this amazing guy. But before you get a chance to come up, I have the privilege of sharing with you part of the story of Craig Alacano. Born October 8, 1960 in Elko, Nevada, to Louis and Deanna Alacano, Craig was born with Basque blood surging through his veins. And boy, was he proud of it. The beret, the blanket that's here today on this table right here in the front, there's the image of a Basque heritage. And he wore that beret with great pride, as you'll see later on in the pictures. Craig met Cynthia Barnes in March of 1980. She had actually met him a week before they actually connected. But later, at a jungle juice party, I asked, well, what's that? Then I finally figured it out. It's like when I was a kid, I would take a cup and I would put a little bit of orange, a little bit of Pepsi, a little bit of Dr. Pepper, a little bit of Sprite. We would make what we call the Montezuma's Revenge. Well, do that with adult beverages, and then we got your jungle juice party. Anyway, they connected there in a very special way that would last for 44 years. I spoke of Craig's determination. Cindy related to me the journey that she and Craig undertook in order not to just open up a Napa auto parts store, and here we have the CNC Auto Supply sign right up here. Not just to open up a parts store, but to make it the model store for the auto parts chain, as people would come in and see how they did that, and they learned from Craig and Cindy. That determination led Craig to fight for his life against this dreaded disease, cancer, not once, but twice. And even in the midst of that struggle, Craig, being the meticulous man that he was, knew how to put priorities in the correct order. What else would you expect from a man with a photographic memory and someone who cares that things are put into the right place? I want to read to you today the beautiful eulogy written about Craig's life, and I hope as you hear these memories, it would stir your own mind for the memories that you have of Craig, and you will be invited to share a little bit later on. Craig Alacano, born October 8, 1960, Elko, Nevada, to Louis and Deanna Alacano. 5 years later, his sister, Sina, was born. The family moved to Portland and later to Bend in the 1970s. He graduated from Bend High in 1978 and went on to Diesel Mechanic Trade School in Laramie, Wyoming. After graduating, he came back to Bend and worked as a diesel mechanic for RL Coats Construction and Bend Truck Shop. Craig's parents and paternal grandparents introduced him to his Basque heritage, and his maternal grandparents introduced him to the ranch life in Montana City, Nevada, or Mountain City, Nevada, where he spent many summers working for his aunts and uncle. He enjoyed the brandings and hayings in the summer. He also enjoyed many Basque picnics and festivals. In the spring of 1980, he met the love of his life, Cindy Barnes, from French Glen, Oregon. They married in September of 1980 and moved to Nampa, Idaho. Craig worked as a diesel mechanic in a couple of shops and moved up to become the service writer for Bob and John's diesel shop in Caldwell, Idaho. In 1983, he and Cindy returned to Oregon and opened a Napa auto parts store in Oak Ridge. In 1986, they were able to purchase the Redmond Napa store and sold the Oak Ridge store. They welcomed their firstborn, Carson, in April 1986, and their second son, Cody, in 1990. After spending 16 years in business, they sold in 1999 and semi-retired. The next several years, they enjoyed spending time with their boys, taking them on a real cattle drive for 4 days with Cindy's dad, going fishing and camping with Craig's folks, along with attending the Basque Hialbi Festival in Boise, Idaho, and Basque festivals in Elko, Nevada. In the last 15 years, he and Cindy enjoyed a few weeks in Tucson and Palm Springs RVing and doing a lot of fishing on the Columbia River and RV camping trips with friends and family. It was in 2020, just as COVID hit, Craig was diagnosed with cancer. With that being the worst news in 2020, they were blessed with the best news of 2020 when their son Carson married Lindsay Arnold and their grandson Clint was born. By the way, that's Clint's note to his grandpa there up on the screen, and Clint's handprint as well. Clint did recognize his own signature when he walked in today. He goes, "That's my name." After surgery, chemo in 2020, Craig was able to resume RVing and fishing in 2021. However, in January of 2022, his cancer returned as secondary bone and liver cancer. for which there is no cure. Cindy saw a sign in which it reminded her of Craig's fight. It read, "Never fight unless you have to. But when it's time to fight, you fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark. And brother, it's starting to rain." Craig fought a most courageous battle and kept a sense of humor even throughout the whole time. Nothing became more important to him than to let family and friends know just how much he loved them. He enjoyed every chance he had to Skype the grandson to Nebraska to be able to see him and let him know how much he is loved. Carson and family were able to come home from Montana for Christmas in 2020. It was such a special time for all of them. His sister Sheena made numerous trips from Reno in the last 4 years to spend time with her brother and her mom. Craig always appreciated the times his family, Cindy's family, came to see him. The last 10 days when Craig was bedridden, their dog, Gracie, also comforted him by sleeping with him. You'll see a picture of that as well a little later on. Craig's mom and Cindy were by his side when he peacefully passed. And now, I want you to hear a song and watch some pictures up on the screen that celebrate the 44 years that Cindy and Craig enjoyed together as the love of each other's life.
Just the look in your eyes, just the lay in your heart, just to be the first one, always there for you. Just to live in your laughter, just to sing in your heart. Just to be everyone your dreams come true. Just to sit by your window. Just to touch in the night. Just to offer a prayer each day for you. Just to long for your kisses. Just to dream of your smile. Just to know that I give my life to you. For you, all the rest of my life. For you, all the rest of my life. For you and I, only for you. Just to wake up each morning, just to you by my side. Just to know that you're never really far away. Just a reason for living, just to say I adore. Just to know that you're here in my heart to stay. For you, all the rest of my life. For you, all the rest of my life. For you, love. Only for you. Just the words of the love song. Just the beat of my heart. Just the pledge of my life, my love you.
But she liked those pictures, didn't she? Yeah, that's grandma. That's grandma. Isn't that cool that we saw those pictures? Cindy related to me that there was a special song, and we don't have to turn out the lights on this one, Clay. But there was a special song that she would sing to Craig, especially during those tough times when he fought hard against the disease that had ravaged his body. It was a special gift from God given to Cindy to actually, not just to be able to take care of Craig, but to sing this very song as they experienced together the last days that Craig would spend in his body. Let's listen to this song. This was sung by Cindy.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when the skies are gray. You don't know how much, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
At the graveside service, Pastor Stephen Koski, who was there helping the family say goodbye, he felt moved to share a Native American poem that day. And as he recited the poem, Cindy said chills came because without even knowing this special song that we just heard, that a song that was shared between Cindy and Craig, the poem that Pastor Stephen read focused much on sunshine. Each one of us is designed by God to bring light into this world, and Craig was the sunshine for Cindy. Craig is the sunshine for Carson, for Clint, for so many people in so many ways. His light burned bright, and because of that, many of you who are here saw your way through dark times, just as Craig was able to see his way through those times as well. I'm sure glad that the sun came back out this week, aren't you? A couple of days ago, I wasn't so sure what was going to happen here in Central Oregon. But it is appropriate that no matter what the skies would look like outside, here inside, as we recount memories of Craig, there would be an amazing light seen in the stories that you are going to be bringing to us today. I want to begin by bringing up Marty Turnbow. So Marty, come on up. Longtime neighbor and friend. He's going to share a story or two, and even as he is speaking, if you'd like to be one that comes up and shares a memory of Craig, to share the light that you saw in his life with us, I'd invite you to either come and maybe start making a line over here, making a line over here. We can go back and forth as well. And then after that is done, I will read some remembrances from people who have sent in messages, and then finally Cindy is going to conclude our time just by saying a few words here, and then we'll see a couple more of the slideshows. Marty?
Well, I walked in this morning and was surprised to see my name on the sheet, but I have a lot of things that I can stop and think about that I enjoyed, shared with, angered over, and do other things with Craig. But I love the guy. He's 20 years younger than I am, but was really has been my best friend for 10, 12 years. Excuse my emotions. We did a lot of things together. You called me up and said, I need to go for a ride. So I drove down, pick him up, and we just ride the countryside. Spend 4 or 5 hours sometimes just seeing the country and sharing what's going on in our lives. And it's a treasure, especially looking back. Craig loved his fishing, and we spent a number of days fishing in our boat. Took my boat out, hasn't been out for a year now, and I wonder why. Because he's been sick. And so I look forward to getting that out again sometime. But it was just a treasure. They're such good people. I love Cindy and Carson. Thank you for your trip down here. I'm sorry you had to make that, but you've been a blessing to your dad. And Lord, I just ask that all those that know him would be honored by his life and be blessed by it. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Somebody else would like to come up and share? Yeah, come up, and it's okay. You can still coming down. If somebody else is sharing, you can go over to this microphone and wait until he's done, and then if you'll just let us know who you are and how you know Craig, and then share with us a memory or two.
So the minister spoke a little bit ago about a juice party. Jungle juice. My wife was the one that instigated bringing Cindy to the jungle juice party. That would be Nita. She introduced Craig to Cindy. And in a roundabout way, Cindy introduced me to Nita. A couple years later. They, whenever Craig would mess up, Cindy would call Nita and say, "You remember how I came about meeting Craig, don't you?" And I messed up one time, and Nita called Cindy and said, "Cindy, you remember?" One, I think it might have been my psychiatrist. You remember why I met Stinson was because of you. Over the years, Craig and Cindy followed our kids, Nita and I's two daughters, Aspen and Amber. And I followed Craig closer than that. I called Craig on a regular basis whenever I took anything apart and couldn't put it back together. Craig, I could envision Craig shaking his head, thinking those people walk amongst us. Because he was such a gifted mechanic and such a perfectionist at doing things, and I was so sloppy at trying to do things my way. He would follow our daughter, both of our daughters, and always ask questions about them. I'm going to play you a short voicemail that I have that Craig left me from last summer when we had Father's Day, and Cindy got to come to Burns and spend it with us. And at that time, I was having trouble with my pickup, and I was asking some questions about it, and they really weren't questions that he could explain to me in layman terms. So we had another friend, and Craig and Cindy left, and we had another friend that was there with the name of Jim Brown. And I went to Jim Brown, and we figured it out. So I called and left Craig a message that he was fired. He no longer needed his service. So I'm going to play you this short voicemail. It might take me a minute to get to it. I saved this since then. I have another one on here I've got to delete. Can you hear that? Oh, it's coming. I tell you what's the matter. It's coming through my stupid hearing aid. I can hear it. Here's what I'll do. I should rehearse this.
It's going to come up as soon as we're done here.
To replay this message, please press 7. To return the message sender's call, press 8. To save, press 9. Message saved. Saved message.
Yeah, this is a concerned brother-in-law that's been fired from an advisory position on the mechanic that is concerned, wondering if you got your pickup air conditioning fixed. And then on a lighter note, wondering where your daughter was in Montana. Last I heard she was in Whitefish. And I just wondered what the update was. So anyway, I'll catch you later. Bye.
Thank you very much. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Thank you very much. All right. You'll let us know who
Hi, my name is Mark Motzko. I'm a neighbor of Craig City. We live just down the street in Joshua Court. And hearing Craig's voice on the voicemail, I think any of us that have been close to Craig have always probably had a voicemail like that where he has something smart to say, something to tease you. And I think that's the thing I loved about Craig the most. He always had a great sense of humor, and he was always good about grounding you. I remember a lot of times, like many of us, we have mechanical problems, and we rely on Craig to fix whatever we had that was broken. And he was always so good about it and so generous, and he was very methodical how he would explain how he's fixing it and how to do things correctly. And I can tell you that every time I work on a car now, I think of Craig, and I think that he would say, Motzko, there's only one way to do it, and it's the right way. And, you know, for you, those that know him, that's just how he was. He did things correctly, he did things appropriately, and you never had to fix anything that Craig had repaired. You know, he used to have a little saying, he says, the drive it in, push it out shop. And his shop was not like that at all. Whatever he repaired, you could fly to the moon. It was just amazing. A wonderful, wonderful guy. But all I can say is that I was very, very fortunate to have him as a friend. Many years, Craig and Cindy and I sort of managed the road in our neighborhood and who was going to fix it, how it was going to happen. And there was sometimes frustration. And I'll always, you know, thank Craig. He would ground me and say, Motzko, this is how just people are. You have to understand. This is how people are. And so he did. He just had this wonderful way of looking at people. Even though he could come off a little rough and whatever at the time, deep down, he was just a wonderful, wonderful soul. And I'm just so happy that I got to know him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody else have something that you'd like to share? Come on down. And yeah, if you'll come over here to this one, and if you can come over here to this one, that would be good. That way, then we can have somebody get prepared. Come on down and just stand in line. It's okay. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, friend of Craig and Cindy, and
he did leave a mark. Sometimes it hurt. Probably the biggest thing is I have a brother, and he's the brother I never wanted. And one day he came over to Mom and Dad's, and I had on brand new white tennis shoes. And he came over and he stepped on my shoe. And he goes, "We couldn't leave him white for long." And he's just the ornery brother that I grew to love. And I love you too. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ruth Denbury. I am Craig's cousin on Deanna's side. Greg had a huge heart, a very wry sense of humor, always a pain in the ass, but because of that big heart, really was a wonderfully true guy. He came to visit my parents. We grew up in Eugene, Springfield. Whenever he and Cindy were coming through, even when it was out of the way, he knew how much pleasure that gave my parents, my mom and my dad, well up until their 80s. And he would get my mother talking about her youth, the ranch, growing up as kids, and then all of the summers that when we were very little, all there playing in the hayfields and things like that. But he was all about family. He would reach out to my daughter once we moved to Pittsburgh at the oddest times, especially during Penguins hockey games, just to rib her. But he was all about connection. And I will miss that very much. And the family, and Cindy, Sina, Deanna, all in our hearts. And it's hard to fill, but we will always remember and treasure those memories.
My name is Lori, and I'm friends of Greg and Cindy and Gracie. And I just wanted to say to them, because I live my daughter's away, how thankful I am for their love and support and friendship that they gave to my parents who live across the street, and just all the stories I've heard from my dad. And one of them, I'm not sure if I'm saying exactly right, but I know one word is right for sure. And my dad said that Greg would call and ask my dad to take him for a drive. And he said, "Let's go to Prineville." And once they got to Prineville, he said, "Okay, turn in here, we're going to Dairy Queen and get ice cream." And I just thought that was the best little story, because I think he was sneaking in there to get the ice cream.
Yeah.
And that's just a great little memory that I wanted to share.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Thank you. Before you say, can I see that microphone just to make sure it's on still? We may have, we have low bar. So why don't you go ahead and use the other one?
So I'm Cindy's little sister. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Craig's little sister too, for 44 years. So last time I had come over to see Craig and Cindy was in May of 22. And we weren't sure we were going to have him around then. And as tough as he is, he made it come back. And I got to see him again, French Glen Days, August 23. And my middle daughter, she got herself a letter tattoo right here on her thigh. And she was wearing shorts. First thing out of Craig's mouth, he wanted to know if that was a free pass to the letter button, right? And he was pretty sure that I had a reservation there too. Never been there. But he sat down and he said, "Dana," he said, "look around." And he goes, "This time next year, a lot of these people might not be here."
Wow.
And I knew what he was talking about. I knew what he was saying. So fast forward to September, had to make a trip to Burns and landed at Nita and Stenson's house. Well, Nita my aunt had planted a bunch of fruit trees. And Cindy is, Craig had pulled up. Craig stayed in the rig. He wasn't feeling good. They were on their way back here. And Cindy had to rouse Gracie. But there were 3 peaches left on that tree. And I was going to get those peaches one way or the other, but it was just too tall. Pretty soon a voice leads out the window and he says, "Hey, don't you know how all this shit got started in the first place? That was forbidden fruit." Oh my God, we all those peaches, Nita. I'm just very thankful that they had 44 wonderful years. Deanna, thank you for a wonderful son. And my brother, Cena, Carson, Lindsay, you have his heart. Carry on. I love you.
Thank you.
My name is Wendy Embry, and I just recently lost my husband, who was one of Craig's. Craig was one of his best friends, and they used to call a lot and talk to each other. Charlie has a trucking company, and you can understand why Craig was an asset to him, because although he drove truck a lot, he was not a very good mechanic. And so they talked a lot, as you can imagine. But one of the funny stories that Charlie always told about him that he thought was just amazing were, I guess the boys were told to clean their room, and they were in trouble because they couldn't keep it clean. And so I believe it was Cody, I'm not really sure, but he opened the window and threw all his stuff out the window. So his mom could come and see that his room was clean. And I think Charlie related with that a little bit, I'm not really sure, but he always thought that was a great story. But they were great friends, and we used to go up and Charlie went through a couple of bouts of cancer as well. And they talked to each other about really deep things that you would think that men don't usually talk about. But it was very touching. And I think Charlie would want me to be up here today to say Craig was a wonderful man and he loved him dearly. And Cindy and I have become closer almost every day now. And treasure your relationships, because you just never know. And I love them as a Charlie. I'm cheating because I can't be nervous and remember anything at the same time. My name's Julie. I was Craig's hospice nurse. He was one of those patients that as soon as I walked in the door, I knew, oh God. Stubborn, stoic, not going to take his pain medication. But I also could tell that Cindy was on top of it. She was heads and shoulders above a lot of people, for sure, taking care of him. I think it's funny that you talked about his detail orientation, because he would tell me how to do his procedures. He was very meticulous about watching how I did it the first time, so that the next time he could make sure that I did it exactly the same and did it right. Yes. So hearing all that, it's like, oh, that was always him. So, okay, so that's good. He also made sure to tell me that he was Basque. The first 5 minutes I was there, I think, which is funny because my ex-husband was French Basque, and I had never heard that before, ever. So when I walked in and he said that, I was kind of surprised. Stubborn, ornery, all the things you guys have said, but I will say that he was incredibly gracious. It always amazes me when people are in pain and going through passing away from this world, how grateful they can be. And he was on the top of that list too. He was always thanking me, always very grateful, very,
very appreciative. So a lot of people always ask me how I could do this job because it's so sad to watch what we watch on a daily basis. But this room is how I can do this job. He was very loved, and it's pretty a blessing to me to be able to see that love and to be able to see 44 years, pretty darn impressive. And to know the love that he had for his family, that was very obvious when him and I would talk when Cindy was in the kitchen. That was the most important thing to him. So I'm glad to see he was so well loved because he was a pretty neat guy.
And it's Julie, right?
Julie.
Julie, thank you for doing what you do.
It's
That
nice.
is so wonderful, especially for us. I have a letter from Amber Quantz, one of Craig's nieces. You saw Amber's dad up here before, talking about Amber and Aspen. This is something that she said, "Hi, I'm Cindy. I started a letter for Uncle Craig about 2 weeks ago. This was February 22nd. In these 2 weeks, I've thought fondly about you both every day. You recalled meaningful moments in your company and given significant thoughts as to how many details you might even want regarding what he means to you. If you have time, please read this letter to Uncle Craig. Dear Uncle Craig, when I was about 13, Mom and Dad told us that if they died, we would go live with you and Aunt Cindy. My first thought wasn't, oh no, my parents will one day die. It was, thank God. Not that the roulette wheel had too many other relatives to land on. And it's likely no surprise to you that you're our favorite uncle. But my relief actually came from the thought that in a situation where Mom and Dad imagined a time when we would need the greatest love, care, they thought of you. For this reason, I have loved you not like an uncle, but as a kind of second father. Having spent separate summers living with you and Aunt Cindy, Aspen and I have always been ourselves as standard Alacano daughters, always deeply jealous of Dina and Josie grew up just down the road. When Mom dropped me off in Redmond the summer after 6th grade, I was indistinguishable from any other 12-year-old boy. You could have treated me as a third son. But instead, between asking me about the major plot points in Harry Potter books, you made it your summer project to ensure I like boys one day. You encouraged me to have many boyfriends, to date as many as I wanted. Well, it worked. Since then, Aspen and I have eagerly introduced you to our boyfriends and eventually our husbands. The most important event for me last year was Cedar meeting you. It still delights me to no end that sitting around the breakfast table over coffee, you guessed Sage's name, which makes it even more meaningful to me. Having boys with hippie nature names could partially be your doing. These single summers spent with you also grew our love of the outdoors in Central Oregon. One afternoon, you and Aunt Cindy took me for a drive into the mountains. Coming from Kansas, this wasn't just visually stimulating, but a rush for all the senses. A relaxing few degrees cooler than town, smelling sweetly of new and old growth forests, we stopped the truck to walk a bit through the woods under the bear's hair moss hanging from the limbs. You made a comment that if the world should end and we were all separated, we could find you in these mountains. Your comment has stuck with me for more than 20 years because I always imagined heaven as whatever we individually want it to be. Angels and pearly gates for some, but the one I prefer is more of a communion in nature where we regularly run into the people that we have lost and we have loved the most. That day you left me a map to find you when I go, but also an occasion to think about why our relationships with some people, whether family or not, are more meaningful than others, why we want them to never end. Being a parent now and having a football team of nieces and nephews here in Austin, I have given a lot of thought to what makes someone a good aunt or uncle. Naturally, I've used you and Aunt Cindy as the model for this thought experiment. You became my favorite uncle, not because you always remember my birthday and send me a card. Your name is on the card. It's you who sends them, right? But by simply making time for me in your life at every stage of my life. asking me questions, taking a time for me in your life at every stage of my life, asking me questions, taking a genuine interest in my world, telling me stories from yours, giving advice and smiling underneath your beard the whole time. Yes, I remember family gatherings like Thanksgiving and trips together to Disneyland and the Oregon coast. But what Aspen and I always look forward to most were not the exciting outings, but sitting around your table chatting in the chair next to yours and talking about anything with you. I would drive clear across the country for that experience and certainly hike around mountains in the spirit world to have them again with you. If it's any relief now, know that until each of us takes that final hike in the woods, Aunt Cindy has more than Carson and Lindsay to sit around your table with. But Aspen and Chuck, me and Brian, Rascal, Cedar, Sage, and so many others who love you both like we do. Thank you for your time, your laughter, and your love. Sorry. And Cindy, you wanted to say some words before we watch a couple more slideshows. So why don't you come on up, either right here or up here, doesn't matter. I do. I have.
First of all,
It should.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. It means a lot.
It's not on. Is this one, Craig? No. Clay?
There it is. I found it.
This is 21. Amber? Amber's mic? No? It is not on. Tell you what.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. There it is. There you go.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. It means the world to me. Craig told me, because he had a part in planning the service, and he said, I hope more than 3 people show up. So I think you'd be very pleased. It was really important to him that I tell each and every one of you how much he loved and cared for you, for his family and my family, and all of his friends. He never had a cell phone. He had a landline, didn't do email. So in the mornings over coffee, he would I called them his boyfriends. And, I just enjoyed listening, going in and out of the rooms. I heard conversations and he had a lot of good friends, and I know a lot of them are here. And thank you guys for reaching out and supporting him. The last 4 years, it helped him get through each day. And it meant the world to him, whether you came and saw him or called him, sent cards, and prayed for him. And that goes for my church family. My church family's just been awesome. Thank you. There were 2 people that he talked to every single day. One of them was Marty. Every day, either he called Marty or Marty called him. And Marty, he said he felt closer to God when he was around you. And he loves you. The other one is one of his best friends, Chuck, from the Dalles. They've been best friends for 37 plus years. And without exaggeration, they have talked on the phone every single day, maybe missing a few, for those 37 years. Sometimes several times a day. What do you say 3 times a day? Well, I know one of the conversations that came up quite often was, Chuck would say, well, what are you doing today? And Craig would say, well, I'm going to fix everything I screwed up yesterday. But Chuck and his wife, Kathy, came the last 2 weeks of Craig's life, for most of that 2 weeks, and spent time with us. Thank you. But all of his friends, the last month, a lot of you came and spent time with him, and it was so important for him to let you know how much he loved
and cared for them. And he may not have gotten to see all of you, but he loves you. And I wanted to, he did too, want to thank Pastor Koski from First Presbyterian Church for coming to the house. And after our visit, it was about an hour, he told them, he said, you know, I'm not afraid to die now. And that meant a lot to me. And I want to thank Pastor Trey. He's done an outstanding job on the videos that you'll see. I chose the first song. Carson chose a song. And the last two songs, Craig chose himself. We would listen to him out on the deck in the summer, watch the sun go down. And I had my Pandora on, and he really got into music. And those last two songs we listened to so many times, but they meant a lot. So again, just a special thank you to everybody. And, you know, we're only one breath away from the other side, all of us. So love those closest to you. I love you. God bless.
Thanks, Cindy. This card was given from Cindy to Craig a year ago. The front of it says, the thing I love about you is pretty much everything. Craig, my sweetness, I am so deeply grateful for you. When we met March 1980 at a Jungle Juice party, who knew we'd be together 42 years later? I am grateful for all the good times we've shared. The rough patches only made us stronger. I'm grateful for our sons from this marriage and for our little rascal Clint and Lindsay. You allowed me to have a field full of cows, sheep, goats, donkeys, horses, and of course, my cats and dogs. And for that, I am thankful. We had a great business together and fun vacations to Maui, Mexico, Canada, Spain, going south in our RV. I am thankful you bought your dream boat so that we could enjoy many bass fishing trips on the Columbia River. Sorry, I outfished you and caught the biggest fish. I'm grateful for your keen wisdom and knowledge and great sense of humor. Thank you for the last 42 years of sharing life with me, and you will always be my sunshine. We shared that song that Cindy and Craig shared together. We're getting ready to watch a slideshow, and the song that was picked out was actually picked out by Carson. This shows a lot of pictures of Carson growing up, and this is Carson's love letter to his dad. Let's watch.
Early morning, there's a message on my phone. It's my mother saying, darling, please come home. I fear the words, how could you leave us all behind? There's so much to say, but there's so little time. So how do I say goodbye? Someone who's been with me for my whole damn life. You gave me my name and the color of your eyes. See your face well combined. So how do I say goodbye? When I couldn't, you always saw the best in me. Right or wrong, you're always on my side. But I'm scared of what life without you's like. And I saw the way she looked into your eyes. And I promise if you go, I will make sure she's alright. So how do I say goodbye? Someone who's been with me for my whole damn life. You gave me my name and the color of your eyes. See your face well combined. So how do I say goodbye? And there's no way you could ever let me down. Wanna steal some time and start again. Be my closest friend. And someday we're gonna make it out. Just hold the light. Just hold the light high, high. So how do I say goodbye? Someone who's been with me for my whole damn life. You gave me my name and the color. You have to see your face when I'm combined. So how do I say goodbye? So how do I say goodbye?
What a powerful song that is, and how absolutely beautiful and appropriate for today. How indeed do we say goodbye to someone who is the sunshine of our lives? Well, first, we can take a page again out of Craig's book of wisdom. Not grieving for him, not crying for him, because he's okay. Though Craig remains laid in peace in Redmond, we know that he's not really there. He's with the Lord, living an eternity with no more limitations, no more pain, no more suffering. So we don't cry for Craig, but we do cry for our own loss. We do lean into the grief that accompanies the passing of a loved one. So don't try to be brave. God gave us our emotions for a reason. Tears help heal our pain. Secondly, lean into each other. You don't have to do grief on your own. God has blessed each and every one of you with connections in your life that can serve to be your help. Coming alongside of you, praying for you, listening to you, sharing with you, calling you. It is clear from Scripture that we were all made for relationship. Let me encourage you to reach out to those relationships that you have built through your life to help you through times like this. And lastly, as you have remembered the light in Craig's life, that sunshine, if you will, that knowing how good it is to have light in a dark place, knowing how good it is to have warmth when humanity is enshrouded in coldness. Take what you saw in Craig's life and be that to somebody else. What better way is there to memorialize somebody than to leave the memorial service as a living memorial to the life of Craig Alacano? Reach out, invest in people's lives, share with those who are in need, pass along skills that you may have that others are in need of. Be determined to leave your mark on this world, even if it hurts a little bit. Love fiercely. Live life to the fullest, even in your struggles. And always keep your hope alive that one day we will live eternally with the Lord because of Jesus' sacrifice. The Apostle Paul wrote in his first letter to the Corinthians, the 13th chapter, now abideth these three things, faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. As great as faith and hope are, they only find their true strength when acted out in love. And that's why love, Paul says, is the greatest that we can achieve in this life. You all gathered here today were loved by Craig. Our purpose now is to share that love with this world in a way that keeps his memory alive as you live the rest of yours. Right now, we've got one more slideshow, and then I'll have just a few more remarks, and then we're going to watch a video, a live video, or somebody playing a song that will be our closing prayer. But let's watch the life of Craig Alacano.
You tell your old man you'll do some largemouth fishing another time. You just got too much on your plate to bait and cast a line. You can always put a rain check in his hand till you can. You can keep putting on forever with that girl whose heart you hold, swearing that you'll last someday further down the road. You can always put a dime on her hand till you can. If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it. Cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold on as long and as strong and as close as you can. Till you can. There's a box of greasy bars sitting in the trunk of that 65. Still waiting on you and your granddad to bring it back to life. You can always get around to fixing up that Pontiac till you can. If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it. Cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold on as long and as strong and as close as you can. Till you can. Take the phone call from your mama. Just talk away. Cause you'll never know how bad you want her. Till you can someday. Don't wait on tomorrow, cause tomorrow may not show. Say you're sorry, your I love yous, cause man, you never know. If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it. Cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold on as long and as strong and as close as you can. Till you can. Yeah, if you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it. Cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold on as long and as strong and as close as you can. Till you can. Till you can. Yeah. Take it.
That song, by the way, the one that will conclude our service, was chosen specifically by Craig. It's interesting when you do a slideshow like that, you only have a certain amount of time that song begins and ends. And you have to shove as many pictures in as you possibly can, and it goes by so quickly. Isn't that a great picture of what our life really truly is? Because we're only given a certain amount of time. And so we try to cram as much as we can in there. And that's why those pictures had to go so fast, because Craig had that much life in those 63 plus years. What a gift that would be to make sure you choose the songs that sum up what your life is all about. As we conclude, getting ready to share in a time of food and fellowship. And again, I want to thank the people who have helped put this food together, set up, and the catering. Craig would want you to know today it does not have to be goodbye forever. When we put our faith in Jesus and his sacrifice, we can be assured that there will be one day a glorious reunion as we join him in the presence of the Lord. As we conclude this service, there's one more song that Craig wanted us to hear and watch before we leave this place. It will be our closing prayer, really, because it's a song that captures his desire to share his faith and eternal destiny with those he loved so dearly. Again, thank you on behalf of Cindy and the family for being here. Let's watch this, and then you will be dismissed.
I have seen my last tomorrow. I am holding my last breath. Goodbye, sweet wordless sorrow. My new life begins with death. I am standing on the mountain. I can hear the angels song. I am reaching over Jordan. Take my hand, Lord, lead me home. All my burdens are behind me. I have prayed a final prayer. Don't you cry over my body, 'cause that ain't even me lying there. I am standing on the mountain. I can hear the angels song. I am reaching over Jordan. Take my hand, Lord, lead me home. I am standing on the mountain, and I can hear the angels song. I am reaching over Jordan. Take my hand, Lord, lead me home. Take my hand, Lord, lead me home.
Yeah. All right. Glad you guys are doing good.
You really are.